This video will focus on polynomials and in particular how to add and subtract them. So before we get into adding and subtracting polynomials, let's talk about what they are really quick. So we've talked a little bit about monomials, and if we think about monomials, the mon part meant one and the nomial part meant terms. So similar kind of thinking. The poly means many, and nomials means terms. So if we look at an example of this, 3x squared plus 2. This is a binomial in particular, but it is a type of polynomial because it has two terms. It has many terms. Again, we could do 7x cubed plus 2x minus 7. Again, a polynomial. In this case, it has three terms. In particular, we would refer to this as a trinomial, but they are both versions of polynomials. And technically speaking, if we have 7x to the fourth power, it is a monomial. It does fit under the umbrella of a polynomial, but it's the singular case. We're looking at just one term in this case. So all of these are examples of polynomials. Okay, so now that we have talked about polynomials, let's talk about how we can add them first. So, very similar to what we've seen before, we can only combine like terms with addition and subtraction. So, if we were to, let's ignore the x squareds for a second. If I was to look at just the x terms, grand total, I know I have 2x plus another 1x, which we know that to be 3x. And likewise, we can look at just the numbers, the constants. We have 1 plus a negative 7, which we know that to be negative 6 when we combine the like terms. And very similar line of thinking, we can look at the x squared terms. Now, I can't combine an x with an x squared because they are different terms. Until I know what x is, I can't necessarily combine the powers through addition. We don't have an exponent law for that. We only have it for multiplication, division, and power of a power. So if I'm looking at this is going to tell me I have 4x squared plus another 3x squared, which grand total is going to give me 7x squareds. So ultimately, when I simplify this, I will have 7x squared plus 3x minus 6. And that is as good as it can get until someone tells me what x is. So let's look real quick at a subtraction example. Very similar line of thinking. I'm only going to look at the like terms. Now, I have to be very careful with this negative sign. I have to make sure I distribute it to all the things in here. So I'm going to really quick do a sign flip on all those things. So my next step, I'm just going to rewrite 3x squared plus 2x minus 1. I'm going to leave that one as is. And then I'm going to change this one to be a negative x squared, negative 2x, and a positive 3. Now again, I'm going to look at like terms. Let's start with the x squareds. I'm going to have 3x squared minus a 2, or no, my bad, minus a singular x squared, which will be 2x squared. Then I will look at the x's. I have 2x minus 2x, which is 0. It's gone. And then I'm going to have negative 1 plus 3, which is going to be a plus 2. And that is as good as it gets until I know what x is.